Go ahead, Rob.
Can you hear me? You can hear me, right?
I hear you.
Yeah, I think I kind of came to a realization why my left hand sucks, which is a good thing, right? Good thing. So I think what the problem is that when I start speeding up, I tighten my two fingers here, so inevitably I'm actually switching from a 3-finger grip to a 2-finger grip, and I think that's the problem. And it's the same stuff like when I'm like doing like fast rebounds. I start putting more tension on the 2 fingers, and inevitably I start crushing the roll instead of just letting it flow on the 3rd finger. Anyway, just observation.
Well, that's very good observation. That's how you move forward in learning how to play and learning about this technique, how to play using this technique.
So the thing I'm struggling is this balance between firm and constant, but not too firm that I lose the grip from 3-finger to 2-finger, you know?
Okay, well, let's see. Okay. First of all, that's what I noticed as you were playing, but you weren't playing singles, I don't think. Can just back up like 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Just a tiny bit more of your pad. Yeah, oh, not too much, not quite that much. Yeah, there you go. So, it's what I noticed, and you weren't even playing singles. So if you stay with me here, I can help you navigate through this. I believe. And first of all, you're more relaxed. It's not like I gotta get. Why don't I have it now? It's like, oh, you know, my left hand sucks. Oh, it's been hanging out with the ladies too much, and partying a little too much, and the right, it's real serious, and it's determined. Or maybe it's the other way around. The right's like, who cares? I'll just go out and have fun, and it gets it. And the left is, I don't know. We can. It's called hand psychology. And so, what you were just doing was an example of what you just said. So you have insight, but you have. Well, how do you correct it? How do you gain further insight to enable you to connect body with mind? Okay, so yeah, I saw your thumb, I'm exaggerating a little bit, it was rounded out. And you're talking about going from a 3-finger grip to a 2-finger grip as it gets faster. That's really good insight, that's good. Well, so what is it that, let me help you through the process. What is it that you're actually contemplating? When you talk about this 3-finger grip, what is that? I mean, we know it's a grip, or as Dick Wilson's student would call it, the grip. What are you actually contemplating? You're not sure. And that's getting in the way of you making another connection. And that's cool that you're not sure.
Well, for me, just what I feel, right? I mean, whatever it is, but what I feel is really the fulcrum shifting.
Yeah, there you go. You kind of got it. You're talking about fulcrum. See, this technique has certain principles that remain. There are constant. They're eternal. And they are, we have to have the particular grip, and this grip is what? Well, as Murray said, it's a 3-finger grip, because you've never seen a teeter-totter with a big wide fulcrum, right? It's always a very narrow fulcrum, so that the teeter-totter can rock both ways. So we have a 3-finger grip. Right? So there's that. Now, where is that fulcrum within the three-finger grip? We've talked about that.
Yeah, it's kind of in, well, for me at least, it's in the middle between the middle finger and the other two. Kind of sits in the middle.
See, but those are just words, because if you're doing this, that's not true. And you've even alluded to that today. This isn't the grip, nor is it creating, it's not creating the fulcrum that I'm working on. Okay, so we probably need to talk about fulcrum today, right? And here's the other thing. Quite frankly, and this is interesting, there's always fulcrum potential, but if we're just turning our wrist for singles, we're not necessarily taking advantage of the fulcrum in the hand so that we're not requesting rebounds.
Makes sense.
So you're really thinking about not fulcrum as much as fulcrum potential. So how are you going to really develop a grip if all you do is practice, and I'm not saying you are, but how are you really going to develop a grip that will help you get your singles if you're only practicing singles? Because if you want to discover where the fulcrum really is, you need to work on rebounds. It'll give you your singles. It really will. You see? Because we can get singles grabbing it any old way. We can get singles. That's I don't need to mention, but there are ways of playing. In fact, and maybe I'll mention it. It's Robbie Carson, who is like world champion or U.S. champion, is like amazingly, ridiculously fast, right? Like unbelievable hands that way. And when I took a lesson with him, as while I was studying with Dick, he had me just grab the stick and hold it like this and turn my wrist. I took that back to Dick, who said, oh yeah, that's a good way to get you to learn how to turn your wrist. You see, so it doesn't mean that maybe Robbie, that was just one lesson.
Well, it's a muscle thing, right?
What's that?
It's a muscle more than anything else, right? It's just developing the muscles, I guess.
Well, I don't want to guess at where Robbie was going, because it was only one lesson, so that doesn't make any sense. Dick Wilson had a direction that had to do with the turning of the wrist, so he understood why Robbie might introduce this idea to me. And now where's the fulcrum? It's just grabbing the stick and holding it. Okay, so to get this kind of technique, I'm not sure Robbie was teaching a three-finger grip. We can talk to him. He's a really cool guy, and every once in a while he'll comment on a video. So we need to work on rebounds, and then discuss the whole thing, because it's not just the grip, it's not just the fulcrum, it's not just wrist turn, because you can turn your wrist and maybe be holding your arm out like this. I think that, so it's the whole thing. Because now how are you going to throw? You turn your wrist, but how are you going to throw? All your throws will be starting from up here. This technique, we want a floor, and then we make our throws from the floor. See, we don't want to be up here. Even if you turn your wrist and stop up here every time. Now, as we go to make a throw, we're throwing from up here. If we're trying to move around a fixed point in the universe, which is the throw. See, there's a lot to this. See, the idea is just as you are, just to relax, and things will start to fit together, and you will finally solve the Rubik's Cube, right? So, we were working on, we actually went backwards to go forwards. We were working on the Flam accent number 2. Why don't you pull that out? It's on the same page as page 10 in the Murray Spivack library.
Number 2 or number 1?
Oh, Flam accent number 2.
I think it's 1.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, you were working on Flam accent number 1, weren't you?
Yeah.
But I want you to pull out Flam accent number 2.
Sure.
Not because of that particular stroke, it's because that's the page with the next stroke I want to talk about. Right. In fact, I guess it'd be a good idea. Why don't, so that we can segue, pull out the Flam accent number 1.
Yeah.
That's page 11.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're out of order now, right? In a sense, because the Flam tap actually precedes the Flam accent number 1, but we're renegades. and I think, pardon me, I think it'd be a good idea to conjoin the thinking with regards to an aspect I will discuss and point out. And it's also going to connect with what we're talking about with regards to the grip and the fulcrum. And the way it's getting in seems to be inhibiting your ability in the left hand to play singles. And maybe we'll have a chance to take a look at some singles today as well. We'll see. Okay, so what we've got happening with the Flam accent number 1 is we have I wanted to get a rebound. So we got See, if you can do that, your grip would be working properly. It'll teach you your grip. No, go do it in the left. Yeah, good. Hey, now look, your thumb isn't doing this anymore. It almost demanded that a certain thing was there are mechanistic principles that are required. Machinery has to be properly aligned. This is a little machine, you know, the whole body is a simple machine. This little machine with this fulcrum that we're recognizing, if we hold the stick in a certain way, will only work if all of the pieces fit together properly. Okay, see, that was working. Interesting, isn't it? Okay, so let's talk about, where do you feel the fulcrum? There's a bunch of different places you could think of it. And by the way, what's interesting is you could actually think of it. See, I'm trying to remember. I get the 2 Igos. There's Tommy Igo. Which one is the father? Sorry, Mr. Igo, if I'm not.
Tommy Igo is the father, yeah.
Oh, well, Dave Weckl was studying with the father, right? And by the way, there are no right or wrong ways to play. But if I recall, it was Back to Basics. It's really cool, Dave Weckl video. I watched it and learned a lot from it before I went to Murray. And And if I recall, sorry guys if I'm not really up on this or if I misinterpreted it, but if I recall, he was thinking about the fulcrum being first finger and thumb. And I think that there was pulling involved, so that a double would be pulling for the second note, right? Then I think, well, let's just talk about it for a minute. Then if you watch Dave Weckel's question and answer video, it's very cool. Studied that as well. Freddie moved his consciousness with regards to fulcrum to further back in the hand, if I recall, to the middle finger, right? With not so much consideration about the first finger and thumb. And so he's letting it bounce off the middle finger and then pulling with the back fingers.
Yeah.
So there's not necessarily, so the first finger can be more pointed, right? Remember there was that student in the UK that was talking about, we're just going around right now. We're not condemning anybody, we're just taking it all in. It's kind of awesome. This is part of the fun of what we do, right? And so that drummer, his interpretation, although he never studied with Murray, was that somehow, this was middle, he didn't have a grip up front. Now, what was he doing? I don't know. We don't know. It doesn't entirely matter. But you see, what this grip is about is it's a three-finger grip. And potentially we could think of the fulcrum, and we're not talking about, this grip doesn't do the squeezing thing for secondary notes, right? Because how would you get multiple notes? As Richard Martinez reminded me recently, and Murray said it, and Dick Wilson said it, this technique is about controlling the rebound. Now we can pull with fingers. I've been working on this too. There's a little pulling, which is different than. Okay. This technique with this three-finger grip, the fulcrum could be middle finger, could be the Carlos, where it's in between the middle finger. Now you're really going to feel it in the middle of the thumb, right? Or we could potentially think of it as first finger and thumb. We could. I'm not doing any squeezy stuff though, right? So it can be a little confusing. The fulcrum that Dick, the fulcrum, here's Carlos, here's middle finger, Carlos, and first finger and thumb. What Dick would never talk about using the first finger and thumb as the fulcrum, but you could think of it that way. As long as you don't go pulling and squeezing, you could imagine that upon impact, the first point of contact would be the first finger and thumb. But I don't change my thumb to do that. It's almost, well, that's as far as I'm going to go with regards to that. Okay, so let's think of it for a minute in the middle finger. You can also just let it die. Watch. You don't have to do, try not, just the fingers are just relaxed. You thinking middle finger?
Yeah.
Okay, now think somewhere in between the first finger and the middle finger, so that the fulcrum is directly in between the two, therefore running through the middle of the thumbnail. Think of it there.
Okay.
Now you're more thumb conscious, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Feel it right in there? You feel it right here? Now, what happens if you bend your first knuckle of your thumb, which you were doing earlier, and pinch up front? Are you going to feel it? Now there's no possibility of the Carlos fulcrum.
I choked off the stick, I think.
It's gone.
Choked.
Now it has to be somewhere in the first finger and thumb, which is what you said. So you were correct. Now put the flat of the thumb back on. See, we're getting into some detail now. The flat of the thumb. Now you can imagine it. Focus. This has a lot to do with where you focus the mind. You can focus on the Carlos fulcrum, middle of the thumb, somewhere in between the first finger and the second finger. Go ahead and do that. Now move the fulcrum back. Move it to the middle finger. You can relax your baby finger. I know you have a bit of a, I know that you had an injury. If you can. Okay, see, it's working just fine. See, now just play two of those. Turn the same height, don't change the experiment. Come on, just two of those. All those, yeah. There you go. There. Now just one. Don't change the experiment, turn just as high. Don't do anything different. It should be, as soon as you stay at the surface long enough, you should be able to get two. Or follow through just long enough, or stay at the surface, however you want to think of it. Okay, now get two. Now get one. Did anything really change in your hand?
No, just the amount of time I leave it rebound, really.
It's about the wrist now, isn't it? Now the hand is on automatic, the grip is automatic. The grip is set it and forget it. Right? Okay, so now it's simply a matter of almost simply what the mind is requesting. But yes, there is some distinction with regards to the wrist and the turn and how long you stay at the surface. That's all it is, Raf. Now play a single. Keep playing a single. Now just go tap, 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 and don't change anything. Just turn your wrist faster. Tap, 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 tap. Nothing changes. See, that should just be able to turn into a double. Da, 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 da. Don't slam, don't push down harder. Now one note. Ta-da! Okay, Ralph, great lessons. See you next week.
Bye.
See, that's, in a sense, that's all it is. This technique is actually pretty simple. So you've just developed a much deeper understanding of what it was that you were contemplating. Okay? You don't slam down any harder. You always come to the floor. This is where we wait. Just turning our wrist, and it should be able to turn into 2 or 3 or however many we can, depending on how bouncy the surface is. See, there you go. Okay, so now, let's keep going. Right, and so now, we're working on the Flam accident number 1, which had, if you recall, 3 rebounds. Now there's this other stuff we have to consider. When do we come up? Where's the upstroke? Because this technique has a throw. Other techniques don't. This one does. So we've got, what is it? Don't play for a sec. Don't play. And I feel that if I want to throw bigger, I can, but I'm going to come back to the floor. Right. Everything emanates from here. Okay, so that's another. See, you have to think of everything. All right, so here's where I'm taking this. This is going to involve what you just came to recognize. This grip fulcrum, what it feels like if you're getting rebounds, if you're learning to control the rebound. And we know that this particular stroke that you've been working on has 3 rebounds. There it is. There. You make a throw, and then you turn for 3. That's all it is. More like that, you see? And look, you can play singles. Now you can play doubles. You can play singles too. Just don't change anything. Just request 1 note each time you turn. There. And a throw has a single, doesn't it? The throw is like a single, but instead of doing this, it goes like that. Okay. So how solid that is. Your hand is nice and relaxed. Your arm was hanging. There wasn't any weirdness. Okay. So now let's take a look at the flam tap, because now it's going to be a little different. You're learning to throw for 3. See, this is what the strokes give us. We don't want to just turn. You're learning to allow in the flam accent. You're not learning to throw. I think I said throw for. You're learning to control 3 rebounds, right? And there's an upstroke involved. So there's another little twist. Now what we're doing is we're going to incorporate the throw into 3 rebounds via the flam tap. So you see what the strokes give us? We can't just sit there in a vacuum and say, look, now I can do this. Can you really do that within a stroke? Can you make bigger throws? Do you really have command of a throw? Okay, strokes will teach us. Now we're moving to the flam tap. Let's let the flam tap teach us about what it is that Murray was talking about, that Dick Wilson was talking about, that Richard Martinez is talking about, Jack Verga is talking about. I don't want to leave anybody out. Chad Wackerman. Okay, so show me the flam tap. Take a look at it. You see it? You have a right flam, and then followed by a right and a right appoggiatura. And so it doesn't. How many rebounds is that, Raph?
3, right?
Okay. So go ahead and play it. Let's see what happens.
This speed is hard to read.
So, not bad. I think we can make some refinements. Here's what I saw happening at certain points, particularly when you put your other hand on another surface, it really came out. But remember, this is one of your old habits. You like to creep out to the side. It's like it's not. That means there's some of this going on. It means that you're involving the arm, or leading with the arm, or leading with the elbow, which is the arm. Okay? What we're looking to do is make this up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And I'm aware of my 3-finger grip, even though the other fingers are hanging out. But I feel the impact somewhere in the up here, not in the back of the hand. Feel the impact somewhere in the 3-finger grip. I'm not making a single stroke. I'm not touching on the way up. So really find the floor. Is your butt end low enough in the right? Get your arms hang by your side and find out. Let your arms hang by your side. And bring them up. And find out where the floor really is. Okay, we don't want the butt end too high, and we don't want the tip too high. We want to be parallel. Beat the butt end to the plane surface. Okay? All right? So, right. So that's where you have to come back to. Right to there. Do it again. One smooth motion. Can you come up any higher? Really coming up high. But leave that beat hanging down where we can just up to here. You can make a little throw. Right here. Little throw. Copy my timing. Okay, now let's make a bigger throw. Copy my timing. I feel it landing up front of the hand. Somewhere in like almost like the Carlos. Feel the impact right there. Okay. Now, let's make a throw to about here. And let it rebound and die on the surface. Give me 5 rebounds. Give me 4. Give me 3. Good, you're not going out to the side. Pretty good. See? 3 rebounds, you're throwing for 3. Now you've incorporated the feeling of 3 rebounds. And the context of having thrown for them. Okay, do that in the other hand. Just let it die on the surface. That's good, man. That means means you must have a pretty good fulcrum. Get all those rebounds. See, the proof is in the stroke.
Not in the putting.
No, it's the Yorkshire pudding. You're there in the UK, dude. The Yorkshire.
You know.
Okay. Love that stuff. Okay, so this time you're going to throw for 5. Look how little my wrist moves at the end.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Not too much, barely. Okay, pay attention. You don't need to do this where you've not knowingly opened your fingers so that to get it to come to the end of 5 notes, you do have to do a big this. It's just a wrist turn with a throw. A little too much at the end, but it's pretty good. Try 4, see if that helps. Just do this. Look. There's very little movement at the end. Yeah. But more like that. Do it again. More like that. Well, why should it be different if you're making a throw? Better. Now 3. Gone back to that little peak at the end. Not that. Just try turning for 3 to remind yourself of what it could feel like. Just turn for 3. Turn a little higher. Better, you see? Not moving as much now. You're not doing this thing at the end. Now make it. Now make a throw and do just what you did. Isn't that what it is, really? Better. You need to work on that. Now put the 2 hands together. Let's see, where are you? Da 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 da. Blah blah da 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 blah da 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 blah da da. So put the metronome on at 48.
Oh, it's difficult to rebound that slow.
You just were. That was about the speed that you were. Da 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 da. Put the hands together. And I don't want to see this, Ralph, because I just saw a little of this. You don't want to land and throw your fingers up. You don't need to. You just went like this.
Yeah.
It's not what we're doing.
Ah.
You're playing a different stroke now.
But.
No bounce there. with one motion, Raph, with one motion, you're getting 3 rebounds.
No, yeah.
Okay? You don't have to pull for them. You don't have to turn your wrist for each one. It's just one simple motion. Show me the motion that you're making to achieve 3 rebounds. No, I don't want to hear 3 rebounds. I want you to show me the motion.
The motion.
Yeah. No, I don't want to hear 3 rebounds. I want to see the motion.
That's a tricky question.
See, I fooled you with simplicity. Right? It really is that simple. Do it without a stick in your hand.
It's just a throw, really.
Do it with a stick in your hand. Now you don't have to hold the stick, so your fingers kind of will move around a little more. They'll really want to seem to open up. And they close, which gives you a throw. There you go. There you go. See how relaxing that is? Look, see how you don't have to close your fingers; they'll close. If we want to play 3 rebounds, here, let's just do it. Here, I can feel. See, there's a little squeeze and release. I hate to even talk about it, but you're nice and open, just like you were here. Look, and the hand closes, and so now we've got this. This is very relaxing, and then the hand seems to have its own closure. And then when we want to throw, now what about if we want to throw for 3 rebounds? What if we're even turning for 3? Well, if we're turning for 1, we're not. You don't really have to do, if you talk about it, Dick would say land open, pardon me. And so what I would do is I'd land open and ruin the whole thing. You really don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You'll feel a difference. See? You're not landing. Now play just 1 note. Don't change the size of the throw. Don't change the experiment. Come on, come up like you did. Yeah, see, now it's not rebounding. Yeah, it's there though, isn't it? Because you have a fulcrum. You just play 1 note, you still feel it in the front of the hand with the fulcrum potential in place. That's much better. Okay. Good. So we're at 48. Let's move that up. Let's move that up. Not too much. I just want to. You just need to feel it. It's not about. I'm going to go really fast, and so that you start to get tight or start to do weird things with your fingers. Let's just keep it at a nice, relaxed, comfortable speed. Here's 80. Plata, 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 plata. Sorry, 60. Plata, 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 plata. It's pretty easy. It's just we're just making motions to achieve required stroke. And stop. Okay, you can get to 60. Took you a minute to settle into it. Because it's straight up and down. Remember, we don't have to go to the side. We don't want to lose our height of throw either, right? We want. See, we should be able to maintain the same fluid. Always come back to there, right? So what happened was the speed came up, you started throwing a little lower. You can come up quite as much. Try it one more time and let's experiment with the height of throw.
So higher is that it?
Just go and play. Listen from instructions. Come up higher. check it out. Look how high I'm coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, so your throw isn't entirely together. Good, but it's much better, Raph. It's much better. Give me a big throw. Come on.
Yeah, but the thing is, the different heights will have an impact on how I feel the rebounds, right? So like, you know, if there's a bigger high, I have to feel it in a different way that is like this. So yeah.
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, that's what I felt. But like when I was changing heights, I kind of felt that the rebounds were not behaving as I wanted them to, you know.
Very cool. Really good observation. So let's follow that path. Let's follow that tact of thinking. Okay. Let's see what it feels like. Let me try it. So here's a smaller throw. All I feel is a little more stinging in my hand. Very little changes, because when I really get this going, this is here. Thank you, Richard Martinez. It's the idea of, I feel nothing. I'm trying to feel as little as possible. I mean, what the heck does it mean to feel nothing? I'm not doing anything. It sounds a little mysterious, right? Well, it's true though. You see, because when you really get this thing going, or when you begin to get in touch with this, you don't feel much. The fulcrum is inert. Go ahead and just do this with me. Just do this. How much? Now don't go doing anything with your hand. You just leave your grip. And you just move the stick. It'll move your fingers, right? We talked about this. See, and feel it going through this, go through this channel. See it, feel it rocking over the fulcrum? See, the fulcrum is inert. Just go ahead and do this now. Just do this. Just do this. Lay the stick. Yeah. Now move the stick. How much do you feel on your finger? There's like hardly any pressure because it's a fulcrum. That's the whole gig. Yeah? What do you feel? That's what I feel when it's doing that. I barely feel anything. I know the stick is traveling over that. I can just barely feel something, and I do feel the original impact a little. Mostly like what I said. You feel it in the Carlos, you feel it in whatever fulcrum you decide, but somewhere in that 3-finger grip. So go ahead and do it again. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's more like when I do a big throw, I will feel them like, you know, trying to expand the fingers more, you know, or trying to push the fingers more than if it's a lower thing, which makes sense, right?
Not very much, because because my back fingers. Look, watch. Give it to you in another way. They're valid questions, and your expectations of what it is you think should be happening and feeling are seemingly valid, right? But really, there's just maybe little pieces or bits of understanding missing. So here, let's do it this way. Go ahead and take off your back fingers. You know, a lot of no, but 3-finger grip.
Oh, okay.
Grip. And take off the 4th and 5th, not stiffly, just remove them. Okay, now go like this. Yeah, watch. The fulcrum is so thin, the middle finger barely moves. It's moving a little, barely. And you've got this idea, watch. Yeah, no matter how hard I play, it's just traveling over a fulcrum, and you barely feel the fingers. They're there. You know, everything is happening. See, it doesn't, you seem to have this idea that it's gonna pull your finger, open up. No, here, try it this way. It feels more like this, even though this isn't quite what's happening. Just hold it with the 1st finger and thumb. Just the 1st finger. Now do this. Just you don't have to come. Yeah, now there's, oh, I guess that's on the tip there. If you come up high enough, it's going to pull up. You barely, no, you wouldn't even feel, you don't even feel the tip. Barely. You start to start to rub. See, it's just traveling. It's not this thing where the fingers are being pulled and, You're trying to create a fulcrum for this thing to rock over like a teeter-totter. It's a first-class lever. Yeah, so just go ahead and see if you can experience it. And that's all I'm feeling. You shouldn't feel much in your hand. Yeah, I'm just making now. Right now, I'm making a medium throw. You feel it? Yeah, let it rebound multiple times. Let it die on the surface. You feeling all this finger? Sure, it might move the finger ever so slightly. If you make a big deal out of that, you'll spoil it. Don't come up. Yeah. Okay? There's a little, just when you land, you can feel it in that, on the fulcrum. And then it's kind of immediately rocking. Let's see. Yeah, because at the first landing, I can feel it because there's more impact, and the system will adjust all by itself. It's not quite what you think. Yeah. 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 Let's see. Yeah, see, you feel the first impact, and then here, it's a good way to feel it. It'll help you. And then you don't feel much of anything after you land the first time, right?
Yeah.
Maybe when you land, it will push back the middle finger ever so slightly more. See, you want to feel as little as possible. It's true. See, now you're starting to feel not very much, are you? It's more about, you know what you do feel? Sure, you do feel the impact. You feel emotion. I feel this. Here, do this. Just stick out of your hand. And raise. Boom. Whack. I feel that. I feel a bit. And by the way, with the motion, look, how much do you feel for the motion? It was kind of, you're leveraging up, you feel very little. It's like, on the way down, it's like free falling. You don't have to push it down, it just falls. Yeah, come on up higher. Let the whole thing collapse. Come on up and let it collapse. See? You're not even pushing down. It's just collapsing under its own weight. There's not much to feel. That's why this technique can be so mysterious. Because as drummers, from early on, it's like, especially depending on what period you grew up in. If you came up through like the gated backbeat sounds during the 80s, and you're hearing, oh, I hear talking, you sleep. It's like, how do I do that? And you find yourself, without understanding, going, I hear, oh, you're talking. However you do it, we all have our periods where we had lack of training and lack of awareness, and we found ways to get it out by ear. And some of us not all of us were Buddy Rich, who just somehow geniusly tapped into how not to have to struggle to play a loud note. Dick Wilson used to talk about it, because he played the Brahms violin concerto at the age of 9 at Carnegie Hall. And he said, oh, so to play a loud note, I'm going to go, Arr! Yeah, really, on the violin. Is that how you play loud? Are you sure? Because so to play a loud note, I'm going to really have to work hard? Because you got to be kidding. No. It's not musicianly. It doesn't make any sense when you consider how other instruments in a symphony orchestra approach their instrument. Right? There may be more motion, but we're always searching for relaxation. You today really did tap in to, this is as little as you felt to date. And you'd think that that would be the opposite of a compliment. Well, you weren't feeling anything today. Great. I'm going to turn off the camera.